Okay, we are live now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. I've got a few friends of mine that we're going to be discussing and chatting this evening about the tackling challenges in a business analyst role. Before we kick off, a bit about what we do. We're going to talk about that in a second. And just to give everyone on the call an idea of how the session this evening is kind of structured, what we have done is we have gathered a couple of questions from some business analysts that we work with, or some industry standard questions. And what we have done is we have raised these questions as like problem statements and queries. And we will kind of just discuss these questions on the call tonight. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat window. So if you look at your call, you will see chat there's a chat section there. We're not enabling the voice for everybody because we want to be sure that everyone is heard and want to go through this set of questions. So whilst we discuss these questions, if anything comes on that you need a bit of clarity, or you want to ask questions that we can answer, or the ones we can address on this call, don't let that put you off. Just drop them in the chat window. I will definitely come back to them towards the end of the webinar this evening, and we will pick them up. This webinar is sponsored and being hosted by WayMaker Learning. I am the program director and also a BA mentor and agile coach for at WayMaker Digital, and also for business analysts and other consultants, Scrum agile consultants working at WayMaker Digital. So I'm going to pass over to my friends. So this evening I've got Toby Fagade. Toby Fagade is going to just introduce himself briefly. And then I will also get David to also introduce himself shortly. Toby, do you want to talk about yourself quickly before to let everybody know who you are?
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Toby Fagade. I'm a business analyst with Thousand Wood. It's a construction company in Manchester. Before that, I worked for Globetrotters, which is one of the WayMaker programs. And before that, I worked for Schlumberger. Been a BA for a while now, a few years, and it's been quite interesting. One of the things I have learned, and we'll speak about later, is the fact that you learn every day, and no one single person, even Victor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I'm not sure about that. I think Victor knows quite a lot.
Come on, guys. No, seriously. I like what you said, Toby, because nobody knows it all, and I think for me that's one of the principles I work with. Absolutely, learning and still learning, and lifelong learning. I think that's the key. David, just a quick snippet about yourself, quickly.
So, am I still there? Can you see me? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So my name is David Watto. I am a business analyst, IT business analyst for Equifax in Leeds. I started that role in October 2017. Previous to that, I was on a WayMaker Learning project, WayMaker Digital project called Landlord Relief. Prior to that, I worked with a money service business and a residential property company. So it's been a journey, and I hope to get to talk to you guys a bit about those challenges that have been along the way.
Fantastic, guys. So again, if you're just joining us on the webinar tonight, so it's myself and two of my amazing friends, David and Toby. We're going to be talking about some challenges that we have experienced individually, and also some challenges that we've gathered in the industry as some challenges that business analysts face. Okay, so we're going to start. The first question on the call tonight is, as a business analyst, is it crucial to understand Agile methods, i.e. the methodology of Agile, how it works and what it means? And also coupled with that, what frameworks can I quickly learn and adapt to as a business analyst? So I think, David, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, sure. So to answer the first question, is it crucial that as a business analyst, I learn some agile frameworks? I would say in the current climate and the way the world is moving forward, I would say yes, it is crucial. I would say, firstly, it's beneficial to you as a BA. You are keeping yourself on the cusp of things, all things BA, and the way that a lot of companies are choosing to run their projects and develop what they're developing. And I think it's key to be at the cutting edge of what's happening. And secondly, I would say that a good framework to really learn that a lot of people are looking for, a lot of employers are looking for, is definitely the Agile Scrum framework. It's a simple framework once you get your head around it, but once you do, it's something valuable to have in your arsenal, definitely.
Cool. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, David. Toby, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes. I wasn't skilled or well versed in agile methodologies when I started with WayMaker. All my project management experience had been with waterfall. The good thing about agile methodology is that it's quite easy to understand. It is waterfall, but it is sliced and diced and cut, and it's much more reliable. It is much more user friendly, and you are more confident that the end product would meet the requirements of the product owner or the business owner. And yes, I think it is very essential. As David said, this is the direction the world is moving in. It's there's no doubt about it. And he did mention Scrum. Scrum is one of the ones in the most demand. I know Prince 2 now offer their own agile qualification, but from reading through the framework and reading about it, it is very similar to Scrum Agile. So that would be the one I'd advise anybody to go for.
Okay,
a Scrum Agile certification.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you guys have really said it well. I think it's important for business analysts to be able to adapt. Interestingly, I was speaking to a lady during an interview today. She's worked as a business analyst for many years, and she came around. I was part of an interview panel interviewing her for an agile role, and she kind of struggled a bit. And I think that's where a lot of people think, okay, is it very critical? Is it important for me to master this thing? I think don't let the initial days of trying to get your head around the methodologies or the skill set or the lingo or the terminologies put you off. With time, you will come to grasp everything. But yes, the guys have really answered that perfectly. Thank you, guys. And Scrum is very popular. Yes, there's a lot of other frameworks. There is the Kanban, there's the SAFe, which is now gaining some popularity in terms of, because companies are trying to see how Scrum can be scaled and adopted to deal with multiple multidisciplinary teams of Agile. So SAFe is getting some popularity. There is Less. Less is also built on Scrum, which is another way of scaling Scrum Agile. So there's so many other frameworks that you can learn, but I think Scrum at the most basic level, like Toby and David have said, is important to learn those. Okay, we will talk about some other Scrum things later on the call. Yes, the next one here, I like this one, and I have a different perspective. So I'll let you guys talk about it first, and then I'll share my own thoughts on it. The question is, how technical do I need to be in order to secure a role or excel in my role as a business analyst? I think Toby or David, who wants to go first? David, you want to go first?
Why not? Why not?
Interesting.
Well, it's an interesting question. It really is. So I can only talk from my experience. And the role I just joined, well, in October, I joined a team in which the lead BA actually has a developer background. So he's very familiar with, in terms of architecture of software and how it runs and the servers you need. And so coming in into that kind of environment, I was struck by how much the developers depended upon him. He was almost like the architect of the solution as well. So he filled a lot of roles. I spoke to Victor about it, as Victor was there on the phone, as you mentioned me, and I discovered that although it's beneficial, it isn't particularly necessary in the sense that you cannot start a BA role if you want that technical. You can definitely begin a role and you can definitely bring value to your team in that sense. But I would say if you're in an environment that is technical, like I am, in an IT environment, then it is of value to you to upscale your knowledge and build it bit by bit. You don't need to be a developer, you don't need to be a tech, but just to have a grasp of the basic understanding of what that is. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, cool. I think I agree with you a lot. Toby, do you want to try?
Yes, I think David has nailed it on the head. I do not believe you need to be fully technical to secure a business analyst role. However, from my personal experience and my personal opinion, I believe that to excel, because that's the second part of the question, right? You do need to acquire some technical knowledge at least. You need to be able to converse at the levels of at the same level with the developers. You also need to be able to converse at the same level with the product owners. Now it's a mix. So I don't think you should be able to write code fully, but I think you should be able to understand all the architecture, the language that is being used to write whatever is being written, the storage space, the cloud capacity. And at some level, you do have to be technical. This is something I've begun to realize. I've gone into meetings where I've been presenting a solution to stakeholders, and then they just throw a technical question at me. And I just realized I should know that. I mean, if I don't know, my answer is usually, I'll get back to you, I'll speak to the developer. But when I step out of the meeting, I realize that this is something I should know actually. It's not extremely technical. And yes, so it's finding the balance. But I would lean towards excelling requires a lot more technical knowledge than securing.
Oh yeah, makes sense. So yeah, I think you guys are really bang on the money. But really, I gave a scenario on during one of the Agile BA boot camps. I think one of the recent ones that we ran in Manchester. And the idea is someone asked the question like, how technical do I need to be? And then I asked a question. I said, how technical do you think you are right now? And she said, I'm not technical. I said, okay, what makes you think you're not technical? And she said, no, I don't understand programming. I don't understand coding. I can't write code, or I can't have conversations with developer. I'm like, why? I said, are you able to use your mobile phone? Do you need somebody to teach you how to use the new or the latest iPhone? And she goes, oh yeah, I can do that. And I go, okay, so if you want to check your email, you want to browse your email, or you want to download things, or you want to change files, are you able to do that? She goes, yes. I'm like, okay, so what, again, are you talking about around technicality? So you guys have really, really hit the nail on the head. In order to secure a role as a BA, it's helpful if you have some level of technical knowledge or technical understanding from my experience, because then you will be able to come into the world of your client or your hiring manager or your recruiter to be able to explain and speak their language. However, it shouldn't be a blocker at all, because your role as a business analyst is not necessarily to provide technical solutions. Your role is to basically help to facilitate the understanding of requirements and also the solution requirements. So you are a facilitator. You're not really the provider of a solution. You're not the programmer. You're not the developer. You're not the architect. Those are people that really need technical knowledge. But yeah, like Toby said, in order to excel, you will find that a lot of business analysts begin to specialize in some technical core or specialist areas, because you want to be able to navigate yourself on a career path. You want to grow. You want to either grow to become a product owner. Before you can become that product owner, you need to have some technical knowledge about the product, that you're going to master the product and understand it both in and out. You want to grow to become a solution architect or a business architect, or you want to even become a scrum master or whatever. In order to excel as a BA, I would say it's good to begin to have some appreciation of the technicalities behind whichever service or product you're working on in your project. So it's good to spend time with like developers, talk to them a lot, talk to your testers, your QAs, talk to your solution architect, work together with them. When they are fleshing out the solution diagrams, ask questions like, what do these boxes mean? What do these arrows mean? And like I say, there's a lot of resources on YouTube and Google these days that you can download. For example, with our development team and WayMaker Digital, today we were sharing a website about how to learn programming freely on the website, and those resources are there. It's just about working and asking questions and navigating yourself. So I think we really dealt with this one. How technical do you need to be? If you're technical, fine. If you're not, don't let that put you off. Just make sure that before you go for that interview, read about the technology, read about the architecture, ask questions with people that in the business or in the space or in that area. Look at the job specs and look for technical jargons or technical words in there that you cannot really understand, and Google and find out what exactly they are before you go for the interview. And you'll be surprised that you will nail the interview and secure the role. However, when you secure the role, then you need to get your head into how things work. When you click on the website, what is powering the website? When you download something, how does it really work? Toby mentioned a few things like cloud technology, API technology, microservices, and a few other things that might be good for you to know. So yeah, really good stuff. Let's look at this one, guys. In what ways can I document or capture requirements? Now, I've listed some basic examples here, but I know the list is exhaustive. So it's a very long list. So Toby, do you want to talk about this a little bit, and then David can then talk about how or ways to capture or document requirements?
So I currently do not work in a fully agile environment. I do have to write user stories for user acceptance testing and for information to pass to our developers. But I find out that most of my documentation is actually done in the form of Word documents and PowerPoint presentations. These are things I use a lot. The outcome of most of my meetings lead to process maps. One of the things I've been big on is business process improvement. I'm working on a big business change project, so I want to use the opportunity to improve processes within the business. So I do a lot of business process modeling. I do a lot of PowerPoint presentations. I use a lot of spreadsheets to reflect data changes, data patterns, do some data analysis, bring out pivot tables and what have you. I guess David will speak more about use case narratives, functional requirements, non-functional requirements. But there are so many ways to document requirements. It's all about understanding your stakeholders and passing the message across in the best way they can understand it. You're speaking to some guys, all they want to see is a headline. If we do this, we save $90 million. They're fine with that. Some other guys want you to write the whole narrative that is going to go on and on and on and on. You might even begin to wonder if this is a waste of your time or not. It's all about understanding your stakeholders and doing the right thing to document your requirements and passing the message across. David, I guess you have a bit more to say about technical side of things.
Yeah, I guess. So bringing it back to my actual role at the moment, I'm on a project in which the initial requirements were documented there's about 600 plus in a spreadsheet, a very extensive spreadsheet, which shows the functional requirements, non-functional requirements of the product, the areas in which the requirements are applied to. And so what the team did before I came, the team actually broke that down using industry standard software. So I guess this question can be twofold, I guess. It can be in terms of, documenting requirements in terms of the tools you use. So the industry standard software you use could be Jira for your user stories, like Toby mentioned, or Confluence to document things. So the way it works in my team is it tends to be a Confluence page in which you have the breakdown of things, the more detailed side of what the requirements mean and how it would work. But in Jira, we have what we call epics, which we take from the requirements, and we might have it's almost like a headline of what the rest of the user stories will be. And so the user stories tend to be like a small slice of functionality. So we document them with user stories underneath the epic so that we have a breakdown of how we expect that functionality to develop and to grow. Toby mentioned use cases and different ways of actually maybe visualizing that. Currently, we've used relationship diagrams to document things. There is use cases in there as well. So like Toby said, I think he said it very well, actually. It depends on who you're speaking to. Some of our developers actually prefer to see it visually, a lot of the business side clients actually prefer to see it visually as well. So we do demos and demonstrate it to them. So there's different ways of documenting it. It's just about the stakeholders and what they need, as Toby said, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. So for those who missed any part of that, what the guys are saying is it's important for you to understand the needs of your stakeholders and how they want you to work with them, so that you would not be producing documentation that's not relevant to their needs. Most often than not, the needs of the stakeholders are always different depending on their involvement in the project, at what level, how detailed they want it, how high level they want it. I know sometimes myself and Toby, we've actually, brainstormed on sometimes how do we recreate this old material to make it one page so that the CEO can make use of it, or how do we break it down so that the developers can understand what they need to develop and what they need to test against and all that sort of thing. So yeah, you guys are really bang on. The things on the screen, so user stories and acceptance criteria, I think they're really popular these days. And the reason why they're popular, of course, is because of Agile. Agile Scrum, the way you capture requirements is in form of user stories. Some people then had acceptance criteria, like statements or bullet points, or even some people use the Gherkin syntax and all that sort of thing to capture acceptance criteria. So yeah, these are some ways, and of course there's so many other ways like the guys mentioned. I'll move on to the next thing. Wow, this is an interesting bit, stakeholder management. Now this one has got a big thing. So the first question, how do I manage difficult stakeholders? Now, I have sort of broken this down into like 4 different types of conflicts that might happen. So line management being if you're a BA and you are reporting to a manager who's like maybe a BA lead or is a lead BA or a project manager or somebody who reports you like a direct reporting line. That's one. The other one is ways of working, i.e. maybe you're not reporting to the person, but you are working together and you guys are conflicting in terms of whether we do it in Kanban or we do it in Scrum, or documentation approach. For example, like what we just discussed, people don't agree on how you've written something. How do you manage those kind of conflicts? And some people disagree on methodology or disagree on ways of thinking. So, Toby, do you want to go first? I think you might want to share some things on this one. Yeah.
Yes, managing difficult project stakeholders. This is one thing that I do have quite a bit of experience dealing with. First of all, because of a lot of my work has been business change projects, you already have people who are stuck in their ways of doing things. I found this at Schlumberger. I find this at my current place of work. They believe the current system works perfectly. And why do you want to change it? They have no faith in technology. Now, more often than not, these guys are a lot more senior than you. Some of them are even a lot more senior than your line manager, which actually is a problem. So you just have to, one of the things I've learned to do over the years is a cost-benefit analysis. There are always advantages to every situation. We're going to save money on this, we're going to save money on that. That has helped with dealing with conflicts at work. But sometimes even that is not enough. Sometimes you have to go over somebody's head, present to his boss, and when they give you the go-ahead, ensure he's copied or she is copied in the email so that you can go ahead and do this or implement this or start to discuss this with the developers. Because what happens with a lot of conflicts is that they hold up the overall project. It's tricky. It's a tricky one. Nobody is saying go there and be defiant. I had the situation recently, and I remember I had to call Victor, and I was like, Victor, I know this and this and this would not work, and so person is insisting I do it, but she's way above my line manager. What do I do? Victor said, send her an email, document it, put it down there, right? Hi, so. We are now going to go ahead and do this on your instruction. I do not believe this is the best course of action. However, if you think we should go ahead and do this, and I sent the email, and I copied my line manager, I copied 1 or 2 other people, and she immediately responded and said, oh, what do you think is the best course of action? This is somebody I've been having so much back and forth with for 4 or 5 weeks. But all of a sudden, everything is down in writing. And then she doesn't want to put her neck on the line anymore. So it was quite surprising to me. It was a simple solution to a big problem. I was having issues for weeks with this person. I was doing presentation after presentation. They never seemed to be satisfied. And just putting it down in writing and getting their commitment in writing changed everything. And so, yeah, one of the main ways to manage conflicts at work is to document everything. Have a decisions log, have an actions log, have any log you can think of. Just put it all down and make sure everybody signs it off, because you don't want things to come back and bite you. Well, I can't really say that, can I? You don't want things to come back and I don't know, but you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's all about understanding your stakeholders and trying to do your best to cover your own self, to make sure everybody knows you're doing the right thing. As Victor highlighted earlier, as a business analyst, you're not the solution provider. You're not the solutions architect. You are the facilitator. So you always have to do what the senior stakeholders or what the product owner wants, irrespective of what the outcome would be. Now, most of us are tempted because you can already see the end from the beginning. If I've worked on somebody trying to implement a HR system into SharePoint and it didn't work before, I know the chances that it wouldn't work this time. But if they're insisting, just try and document everything and go ahead with it. Voice your opinion, document your opinion, state your experience, and just work with whatever your stakeholders want. That is the way I've found to manage difficult project stakeholders. I think documenting is the solution.
Cool. Thank you. David, do you want to share anything on this?
Yeah, just briefly. I think I'll touch on line management conflicts and so basically, I think with conflicts, sometimes conflicts can be in your head. Number one, I feel like joining in my team because the team kind of sits on a block of 6, and there wasn't much space for me, so I had to sit away. And so whenever I wasn't involved within the team initially, I had a bit of anxiety about what's going on. Am I really gelling with the team? I think one key thing, especially within an agile environment, is that collaboration and conversation is key in everything you're doing. Be open about it. Speak to someone about it. No question is too dumb. No conversation is too small to be had. And I think that's something that I'm learning a lot from my team. So in terms of resolving conflicts, it is part and parcel of working, especially in a delivery team. So make sure that you are comfortable with expressing your opinion. You're not afraid to look stupid or to look wrong, and you're willing to think critically about things. And so I think you've got to approach it. You've got to tackle it head on, not necessarily in a confrontational way, but in a way where your soft skills can be seen as a BA.
Yeah, cool. There's something interesting about. So you guys have really said you've really given some very nice and interesting perspectives about stakeholder management. But if you look at there's something about when you're working in an environment that is agile versus when you're working in an environment that is not really agile. Depending on when I say not really agile, some environments, they actually, use the buzzword and brand everything agile, but really they're not agile, because agile is about transparency, it's about openness, it's about not being afraid to ask questions like David just mentioned. So depending on the environment you find yourself, I think David and Toby has shared some interesting thoughts about how you make sure that you're managing your stakeholders, especially the difficult ones. So for example, David and Toby mentioned documentation, keeping requirements log, keeping change log, keeping approvals log, make sure that whatever you discuss, you back it up with an email, secure email approval for change requests and all that sort of thing. Also, if you find yourself in an agile environment or a more mature an open environment, you're not afraid to ask questions or look stupid, because everybody is learning, everybody is open to learn. So again, as a business analyst, like the guys have mentioned, if it's line management, yes, we already talked about ways to do that. If it's ways of working, always seek to clarify, ask questions, and be ready to adapt. Because like David mentioned, you're right, David, that sometimes the conflict is in your mind, is in your head. And you just kind of thinking like, I don't want to look stupid, or I don't want to offend this person, or you're reading meanings to like maybe body behavior or body language or something. Sometimes it's just good to like have an open mind and just try and do the right thing. And then again, the last thing I'll mention on this one before I move to the next thing is it's always good to have a mentor. So get a mentor to work with you. If you get stuck on a role, or if I have problems on my projects, I have people within my network that I just pick up the phone and call to say, what do you do when you have this kind of problem? How do I go about this? Am I overreacting? Am I getting something wrong? Or am I misinterpreting something? You know, and sometimes it's just for me to change something as opposed to try and change the other person or the other people. So yeah, that we can spend a long time on this, because there's no really there's no silver bullet to this question. I'll move quickly to the next one so that I can address some question and answers at the end. And this one is, does having certifications enhance my chances of success with recruiters and hiring managers? Also, the second one is there an impact on the BA job role? I.e., if I have a certification or not, does it really change anything in how I deliver on my job or not? David, do you want to have a go at this first?
So I think it depends on what stage you're talking about. There's no in the working world, there's no way that a qualification won't be able to propel you forward. If it's the appropriate qualification and it helps you gain understanding to further your knowledge in an area, then it's valuable in that sense. I think you should aim to get some form of, you know, that's what qualification is about. It shows that, yes, even though I can say I understand it, there's an official stamp on me on my knowledge. And so I think that's very valuable. Before I got my recent role, I definitely did a Scrum fundamentals with WayMaker, and I also got another qualification as well outside it, which did help, I feel, because it gives people a certain understanding of your level of knowledge. Whether you have it or not is a different matter. So yeah, I would say that. So what was the second question? I think I've taught myself.
The second one is, whether you have a certification or not, does it have any direct impact or correlation with how you perform in the job?
That's a loaded question, actually. So yeah, I mean, ultimately yes, but like I said, a lot of people can have qualifications on their CV and have no real working knowledge of how to operate that and how to make it count. So it is a mesh between qualification, not for qualification's sake necessarily, although it can work that way. The best way to merge it is to get a qualification and to apply yourself to the knowledge, and that's the best combination, in my opinion.
Yeah, great. Toby, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I slightly disagree with David actually on this. I think qualifications are good. However, I don't know if they necessarily improve your skill as a business analyst or in any role in general. Most of us have gone to school, high school, university, college, whatever. And how many of us apply any of that knowledge we have to our real life jobs? I think because a lot of hiring is outsourced now to recruiters and to agencies, they tend to use the qualifications to sort out people who probably have the skill set. There is some knowledge to be gained. But I personally see it as being just like any other exam. You do it to pass, but you do not necessarily remember all that you learned on the course. And most of your experience comes from your day-to-day job activity, from what you have done on the job. I'm more likely to remember what I've done over what I have read. I mean, I suspect most people are like that. So if you do something repeatedly, you would know it. You would eventually get to know it. You're able to do it automatically. It's like driving, right? But if you read and read and read and read, and that's all you have, and you never go out on the road and practice driving, you are never going to be a good driver. So certifications help you stand out. That's all I think they help you do. I don't know if they necessarily improve you as in whatever role. I'm not just talking as a business analyst now, project manager. The best project manager I've ever worked with just did Prince 2 last week or 2 weeks ago. He had no qualification before that. I've worked with loads of project managers. Victor, no offense, but he's an excellent guy. He's a great guy. And he had no qualification, but he was very good at what he did. He was very, very good at what he did. So that's my own personal opinion on qualifications. Don't get me wrong. I would do them because I want to stand out.
No,
I would do them thinking I just want to pass them.
Yeah.
Other people might not agree with me. Other people might think they actually help a lot more. But that's my personal opinion.
Fantastic. And now I've taken offense, Toby. Yeah? Just for the record.
Noted. Apologies.
Just kidding. But yeah, I think I agree with you guys. I mean, later on down, there's a news flash section where I will talk about the importance of certification. But again, just to support or add to what the guys have said, certifications, yes, will increase your chances of success, definitely. Would it help you to succeed in the job? Well, at least you've got the job. Now you need to apply yourself. So at that point, it's no longer about the certification or the qualification. Like the example Toby gave, someone who didn't even have a university degree or anything like that, or no qualification whatsoever, and is doing fantastically well. So yes, it's good to have certifications. I will show you some certifications that we have available at WayMaker Learning later on in the call. But yes, I think we've nailed this one. So I'll move on to the next thing. Whoa. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see this guy's face? So this one is about interviews. And I think a lot of people are quite interested in interviews, because it is one of the major hurdles you have to cross, regardless of, before you even start talking about excelling or doing well as a BA. So interviews make people nervous. I still get nervous when I go for interviews. So the first question here, when you go for interviews, so what I've done here is we've captured generally some key questions that people ask, or standard questions that business analysts get asked when they go for interview. Now, we're not going to answer every question, but we've basically just unpicked a few questions so that we can address them, and then also have time to talk about question and answers. I think some questions are coming through already. So this one says, if you go for an interview and you're speaking to a hiring manager, so I think that's what we need to start thinking about now. What do you think are the key strengths of a business analyst? Key strength of a business analyst. I think I'll have a go first, and then I'll tell the guys to go at it. For me, if I'm asked this question at an interview, I will know that the interviewer, either the recruiting manager or the hiring manager or whoever it is, or the agency, is actually interested in knowing about my technical understanding and also my soft skills. So this is not the time to start talking about my achievements on the project, or how I delivered the project, or how I documented something well. I will be talking about my ability to quickly learn about new environments, new technology solutions, quickly learn about how to manage my stakeholders. I will be highlighting my soft skills, like, for example, my communication skills. I'll be highlighting my facilitation skills. I'll be highlighting my documentation skills. I'll be highlighting my ability to relate with people, like teamwork, collaboration skills. That's the word I'm looking for. So these are the things I believe that recruiters or hiring managers want to hear when you get asked, what do you think are key strengths of a BA? Now, Toby, do you have anything you want to add if you get asked this kind of question in an interview?
Yes, for me, actually, I would always focus around communication. At this particular point in time, I personally believe that the hiring manager wants to know how you communicate with people. What do you think the right things to say are? How do you manage your stakeholders? So I think a lot of it focuses on, because at that point in time, you don't know what project you're going to work on anyway, so you don't even know if your technical skills will be relevant. But I think they just want to assess how you communicate and if you'll be a good fit with the team. And yes, so just like you said, collaboration and communication, most important to highlight those that if you get asked this question in any interview, give them the impression you can work with most people, work with a wide variety of people, you're a quick learner, not averse to criticism and all that. But it's all about communication, collaboration, and what your skills are in that regard. So soft skills, like you said.
Okay, David, do you want to add anything?
You guys have pretty much said it all. Yeah, they're looking for the deeper, the deeper meaning behind being a BA, which is literally you're working with people. At the end of the day, you are working with people, whether the client or your team. You are working with people. Do you know how to? And all the things that the guys mentioned is skills of working with people. Like that, like Toby said, technical understanding is great, knowledge is great, but you don't even know what project you're working on, perhaps. So yeah, good answers.
Cool, thank you. The next one. This one says, tell me about your typical project approach as a business analyst. So I'll have a go first again on this one. So if I get asked this question at interview, my my answer would not necessarily go in one direction. I will be giving an answer from how I have approached my role as a BA on a project, because that's what the hiring manager or the recruiter wants to hear. So, for example, I've been working in public sector for like a number of years now. I've worked in a lot of different departments in the civil service, working with stakeholders who are not necessarily in tune with agile ways of working. So I've been involved in coaching, mentoring. So my answer to this would be talking about, for example, what sort of approaches do we use, have I worked with in civil service? So I'll be talking about things like the agile discovery phases, agile alpha phase, the beta phase, and also how we go to live. I will talk about the kind of things we do as a BA in discovery. I help the team to identify user needs. I help the team to participate I support my team in participating in user research. I help to write things like business case. I write project initiation documentation. I do stakeholder analysis in that phase. When we go to alpha, I participate in like developing prototypes, capturing requirements, writing out user stories, writing out user personas, and helping to deliver something to test or to prove that some of the needs that we identified in discovery are actually met, or we can meet them. And of course, when we go to beta, that is when I will be talking about how I have converted some of the epics and the stories I've captured in alpha, how they become like implementation stories. Like they go into backlog, how I've sliced my stories into sprints, how I've made sure that the development teams are supported during implementation in alpha, how I have participated in team activities during alpha, and also when we go live. Now, if it's a project or product that's already live, I'll be talking about how I support a live service. What sort of approach do we use? Do we use a BAU type where we have, if it's agile, we're talking about like, okay, are we using Kanban where we are prioritizing work, using WIP limits to make sure that we are managing the workflow. We're measuring things like how do we get from, how do we raise issues like requests for change, RFCs? How do we bring in new functionalities into the backlog, working with product owners to prioritize what changes do we make. Those are the kind of things I'll be talking about around my approach. If it's a new project, I'll be talking about how have I come onto the project and discussed my BA, business analysis approach with my team to let them know the kind of ways that I could capture requirements for them and validate which one works best. So that would be my typical project approach if I am asked that question now. Guys, do you have anything to add to this one? David?
You were quite elaborate in your
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I think
I was quite thorough. Yeah.
That was quite thorough. I mean, one of the first things I would do too, I mean, just going off what you said, is as a stakeholder matrix. I think that's very important because that helps you determine really quickly which stakeholders you need to keep happy and which ones you, well, just need to keep informed, which ones you need to, I mean, we all know the matrix. Victor can share that with us later on, but it's just grouping your stakeholders and knowing who is who within the business. Who is the person that needs to be thoroughly satisfied, who is the problematic one, who is the one who really has the business does not impact the side of the business, or just likes to poke his nose into everything, And it's just about finding out who you're dealing with. I mean, you're going to say more nicely if it's an interview. It's about understanding your stakeholders, talk about security concerns, set up one-to-one meetings with your key stakeholders, find out what your deliverables are, find out what success looks like, because that's very important. Because it could be a project that has not gone live, it could be a project that's already live, it could be a system they're already using, it could be a business change project, and it's just finding out what success looks like. Make sure you get sign-offs everywhere along the way from your key stakeholders, and then try and run with it. It's developing a good communication route with your developers. It is getting embedded into the routine of the team, your daily stand-ups, your scrum meetings, and just making sure everything runs smoothly. I think if you highlight all of this, highlight your ability to do all of this, this would give you a good stand and stead, and irrespective of the framework that's being practiced. It doesn't have to be Scrum, it doesn't have to be Kanban, it could be Waterfall, or it's just making them understand that irrespective of what happens, you're on top of your game and you totally understand, you have everything unlocked down when it comes to analysis.
Thank you. David, should I move on to the next one? I think we've really
Yes. I think everybody's covered everything.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that we touch on all the questions in the slides. And we're able to pick, I can see some questions coming through the chat window. Can you define diagrams most used by business analysts? So let me have a go at this one as well. If I'm asked this question during an interview, I will be talking about, yes, I understand some diagrams, but it then depends on the context or the scenario. But in a generic way to answer this question, because the question is not quite specific, I will be talking about things like context diagram, which is a diagram that I use to describe a context around an issue or around a problem, to describe at a very high level why we are trying to do something or what it is we're trying to do. I'll be talking about diagrams like use case diagram to describe like high level view of the use cases that we are potentially trying to address or solve. There are diagrams like swim lane diagrams, there are business flow diagrams. There's so many diagrams, but I think at a very high level, it's just good to mention things like context diagram, swim lane diagrams, use case diagrams, activity diagrams. There's so many diagrams that you could describe, but this question is not very specific. I think, what do you guys think? Is there any particular one you'd mention if you ask this question?
No, I think you covered the main ones. I think it's important that, you know, as a BA, there are so many diagrams you can use to visualize different things. But I think it's important, like you said, to have maybe 2 or 3. So the 3 or 4 that, you know, would be your go-tos. Swim lanes, definitely. Process flows, diagrams, relationship diagrams, depending on what you're depicting as well. So just make sure you understand the 3 or 4 that you reel off. I mean, they're not looking for you to say, because even the people that are hiring, if they're BAs as well, they know that there's so many you can use. They're not looking for you to list 12 or 15. They want to know that the ones that you know how to wield them well. So yeah.
Thank you. All right. The next one, how do you handle changes to requirements? Toby, do you want to have a go at this one?
Handling changes to requirements, I don't like it. Unfortunately, it just throws your product backlog out of whack, but it happens all the time. It's the needs change, the needs of the business, priorities change, and people just come up with. As I said, I've been working on business change projects. So you would be working towards a particular goal, and then you just find out that the head of finance decided that this is one of the most important things he uses every day. Nobody's mentioned it in 2 years of gathering requirements, and all of a sudden that's priority because you want to integrate the finance system. It depends on what level the requirement change is coming from. You have to find a way to prioritize it. One of the things I've been doing is managing our product backlog. And it is something I've had to deal with quite a lot. It's changing your priorities all of a sudden. It's engaging other key stakeholders to inform them that now this has begun to fall behind because we have to do this. But this is more important because it impacts more of the business. One of the things I currently use is the number of people affected by a particular change. So if we have something that's going to affect the HR and the payroll system, you can't afford to not prioritize it. You can't play with people's salaries. So then you have to put that ahead of something that probably just affects storing documents or, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to give an example here. These are not actual examples. It's about finding ways to prioritize. It's about finding the best ways to prioritize within your business. But this is something you will come across as a business analyst quite regularly. And the best thing to do is just determine what the priorities are and determine how high up the product backlog you will put it. And if you need to make it get into the next sprint to the developers, get on it immediately. Start to document, start to get approvals, and just ensure all is ready for the next sprint so that your project does not fall too far behind.
Thank you. Fantastic. I think that's a good way. One thing that I do mention, just to wrap this up, is to always make sure that you have something called requirements traceability matrix. There are so many tools out there now that do these things for you automatically. For example, like Jira's got like an audit log or a trail of changes. So, and also there's a structure in the tool like Jira where it's got like versions, it's got version release, and in the release you can have different epics, and you can have stories under the epics. Under the stories you can then have tasks and all that. So there's so many other tools like Rally, even Trello. So it's good to capture these things, like Toby said, record them, even though there are changes, you don't know where they are. Just make, as soon as you get a hint of it, make sure you note it down and then have the right conversations. That's what I'll do first. I'll have the right conversations with relevant people to say, how important, how critical is this, and what was the impact of this, like Toby said. So yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so before I take question and answers, Newsflash, a couple of things. The first thing is WayMaker Learning is rolling out on the 1st of April 2018. I'm happy to announce this. We are rolling out a coaching and mentoring service. We are kicking off this service with a very niche area for business analysts, agile practitioners, or people who are looking to kick off a career in business analysis. We have selected a very few high caliber mentors to start with, of course, including myself. So these mentors are going to be available. You can book your session with them. Just very briefly, the way it works is you go on the website. It's not live at the moment. So on the 1st of April, you'll be able to go on our website. You click on mentoring. You can click on book a mentor. You can read about the mentor. You can see their profile or their portfolios, and you can click to make a booking with them. Once you make a booking, we will send you a link for the meeting, and we will send you a recording after you've had the session with the mentor. Now, on top of that, if there's any conversation you've had with the mentor that you need clarification on, or anything you're not sure about, we give you an option to come into our private Slack channel where you can have access to the mentor that you've spoken to and a host of other mentors who can potentially address any query that you may have. Now, the access for the Slack channel is only for 3 working days. 3 working days, you'll be able to dial into a Slack channel and you'll be able to have access 24/7 and speak to any mentor and get support as much. So this is going live on the 1st of April, 2018. WayMaker Digital guys are almost done with the implementation on this. The other second news is WayMaker Learning is now an accredited training partner for the British Computer Society. So our business analysis course has been accredited by the BCS, and we are rolling out a course in April called the Business Analysis Masterclass. Yeah, sounds posh, yeah, isn't it? So we will have the Business Analysis Foundation certificate for those who are trying to get. I know we talked about certification and the importance of it earlier, so I'm not going to ramp on that. But basically, the difference with this one from what you have across the industry is you're going to have 12 hours instructor-led virtual course, so you can be anywhere in the world. As long as you have internet, you'll be able to connect with your instructor for 12 hours. And then after the 12-hour session, we'll give you all your course materials online, and you'll be able to write your business analysis foundation certificate provided by BCS, accredited by BCS, online anywhere in the world. So it doesn't matter where you're listening from or where you are located. As long as you have internet, you can take the course And of course, you can write the exam whenever you're ready. The next one, this is more important for those who are already in the BA role or trying to get a BA role, or those who really want to improve their skills to give them some good value for interviews. The Scrum Master certification. So WayMaker Learning also has been authorized as a training partner with Scrum Study, and we are providing a 3 hours instructor-led virtual course on Scrum Master certification. So on top of this, you would also have access to the full online course that you can take at any time for a period of 90 days. And then you can write your exam remotely anywhere in the world as well. So we're really leveraging on technology to empower all our customers and all our users. The last one I will mention is this. No, this is not the last one, I think. Is a Scrum Product Owner certification. Now, this is a 3 hours instructor-led virtual course as well. And you have access to an online platform where you will take all the entire course. You have access to a Slack channel to always ask questions in case you're not clear. And whenever you're ready within your 90 days or 6 months, depending on the product you buy, you will be able to write your exam anywhere in the world, and you become a Scrum Product Owner certified BA or consultant, whatever you want to call yourself. And of course, this is a very popular one. So we've been running this for 2 years. The Agile BA Bootcamp, the Manchester session kicks off again in the month of April. 31st of March, the Agile BA Bootcamp is different because it's 2 days in the classroom, mostly weekends for people who are working. You would also have access to 2 virtual sessions, and also you have access to a digital project experience. You would have work reference, you would have interview preparation and support. And you know what is coming on top of this? As icing on the cake, you're going to have an online course, which is Scrum Fundamental Certification. Now, this is Scrum Fundamental, not Scrum Master or Scrum Product Owner. Okay? The last thing I want to mention, guys, is WayMaker Digital is an arm of WayMaker Learning. And basically what we do is we design, we test, and we develop digital services to solve complex business problems. So currently, I am the program lead for the team. We are a full stack team. We have developers, back-end developers, front-end developers, UX designers. We are a team of BAs and Scrum Masters, and we provide digital services. So if you have any business problem, please feel free and come to us. We will be able to sort you out. Now, before I finish, I think I want to take a few questions in our channel. Let me open it up. Okay, so David and Toby, this might be something. So somebody asked, is key strength the same as key skills? I'll have a go first, and then I'll let you guys tell me whether I'm thinking rightly or wrongly. No, key strength is your strength as a BA, i.e., what are your core strengths? For example, some people are very extroverted, some people are very introverted, some people are very good with documentation. But again, there is a direct correlation. There's a direct correlation between your strengths and your skills, because your skills essentially are your strengths. If you are skilled in a way or in something, it can turn out to become a strength. Toby, do you want to say anything on this?
Yes, they are not the same thing, but that's my personal opinion. Your strengths are the things you can do very well. So some people like the ability to look at the big picture and see the end from the beginning. That might not necessarily translate to the role in which you are being recruited for. The role you are being recruited for might just require that you are able to speak to different people. So great communication skills. So I think your skills and your key strengths are totally different. Key strengths is something that is personal to you, what you can do very well. Key skills are what you need to excel in that particular role. So your key strength might not be essential to excel in a role.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't still do that.
Amazing, amazing. Then there's something here about, let me see. Somebody said, what makes a good business analyst? I think that's what we've been talking about all day. What makes a good BA? I think there is all the things we talked about, like your strengths, your ability to work with people, your collaboration skills. I think we mentioned those. We will wrap up. There's another question in the chat. Let me just open that up. I think we already covered them, just to be sure. Please talk about the mentorship programs you run. Yeah, I've just mentioned those. Talk about contraction and readiness. Yeah, mentorship, yes. How does the mentorship scheme work? As on the job support. Yes, you just go to the website, you click on the mentoring. Our website is waymakerlearning.com. Click on mentoring, book a mentor, select any mentor that you think will fit your need based on your profile, and then you click on book. You have to pay for them to be able to come and talk to you. Once you book, you will get a link in order to talk to them. You attend the video call with them, and then the video recording will also be sent to you, where you will be able to talk and watch again to recapture whatever you might have missed. And also, I mentioned that you'll be able to come on a private Slack channel to ask any question for 3 working days after the mentorship call. I think that's about it. The first question, did I miss that?
Yes.
What's the first question?
Hi, I am an aspiring BA. What is the best way to enter the industry? I was thinking of doing the BCS diploma in business analysis. This is from Agnes.
Okay, so yes, I think you already answered the question. So if you're an aspiring BA, is a good way to start is to start learning and pick up a certification. If you want to do the business diploma, like I mentioned, WayMaker Learning is accredited to provide the first qualification, which is the BCF, Business Analysis Foundation Certificate. So if you're interested in that, you can email us or go to the website and contact us, ask, and we will be able to guide you. But if you want to wait in April, we are launching the Business Analysis Masterclass. So that comes with not just the BA qualification from BCS, it comes with the BA training as well. Guys, I think I'm out of time now. Can we finish off with, okay, let's finish off with this. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
But your screen is all mumbled.
I know, there's a lot going on my screen right now. Let me present so that my screen is...
There's a question about whether they'll be able to watch this webinar afterwards.
We will make the webinar available, as the video available on our YouTube channel. So everyone who has attended the call, we will send you the link to our YouTube channel so you can watch it whenever you want to watch it. But that might not be like tomorrow. That might take a number of days because the guys in digital would have to do some editing, and the guys in content, the content design team would have to edit the video and make sure that they clean out maybe I've said something bad, I don't know. But again, yes, it will be on YouTube. That's the answer to the question. So to finish off, there are a few things, all marks of great business analysts. Toby and David, do you guys want to share anything on these 4 points on the screen?
Oh yeah, I think one I'll talk about is just taking it one day at a time, keep learning and growing your skills. You've really got to be proactive. If there's an area which you are not skilled as, like we mentioned before, ask the questions and do your own study as well. Remember, 10% study is very important to keep growing, and try and push yourself day by day into learn and grow your skills. And it will pay off in the end. A good business analyst is always proactive, ready to learn, ready to engage, forward thinking. So those are things I'd say.
I'm just going to add, a good business analyst asks a lot of questions. One of the things we say jokingly, but it's really true. There's no such thing as a stupid question. It's all about getting the right answer. It's all about arriving at the right conclusion. It's all about proposing the right solution. You don't want to go so far along your journey before you find out that you've been going down the wrong path. So yes, it is about asking questions. Like David said, nobody knows it all. And you just have to take it one day at a time, but always ask questions. I've worked in a few industries now. I had no experience in either of them before I went into the next one. I started off working at the government in the public service, and then I went into oil and gas, and then I went into travel, and then I went into construction. None of them have been particularly related. So I always have to ask questions. I always have to update myself. I always have to know stuff. And yeah, the question might seem stupid at the beginning, but you know what you're doing. You don't want to go so far down the line and then find out you've been going down the wrong path. I think that's all I have to add to this. So.
Thank you very much, guys. I think, guys, I've said it all. No one knows it all. I want to say a very massive thank you to you, Toby. Thank you, David. You guys are amazing, super, super amazing. I think you've made my life a lot easier. Thank you for dialing in, everybody who has joined the webinar. I want to say thank you. We want to keep this going as a continuous thing, so we'll attempt from time to time to invite experienced people, and we are starting off with business analysis. We hope to cover all the topics like digital, financial services, and even go more specific to industries and issues that affect our career lives. So yeah, thank you for dialing in. I hope you've had a good time, and I'll see you all later. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Bye.